The Roman statue that you see on screen is an expensive piece of art.
If that was audible, just write Y in the chat box so that I can proceed. Okay, fine. Okay, fine.
It once adorned the house of a rich young lady. However, one day while she was away on a tour, this statue went missing from her home. When she learnt of the disappearance of the statue, she presumed that the theft was the work of her housemaid, since she had earlier shown great interest in knowing more about the statue. So the rich young lady went to the local police station to lodge a complaint. The inspector at the police station filed a FIR, or a First Information Report. The police called the maid for questioning. During the questioning, they discovered that the maid had transferred a large sum of money to her relatives. Suspecting that this money was from the sale of the expensive statue, a case was made against the maid, a charge sheet was issued, and she was jailed. Since the maid was poor and there was no one to stand surety for her, she could not get bail and had to remain in prison. After a month, when the charge sheet was presented to the magistrate's court, the maid expressed her inability to hire a lawyer for herself due to her state of poverty. At this point, the judge asked for a defense lawyer to be appointed who would defend the maid's case in court. Why did the judge offer the services of a defense lawyer when she was a suspected thief? This was because Article 22 of the Indian Constitution states that it is the fundamental right of every individual to be defended by a lawyer. Also, if a person cannot afford a lawyer, then as per Article 39A, the state, that is the government, has to provide a lawyer for citizens who cannot engage a lawyer due to poverty or any other disability. Once the defense lawyer was appointed, he discussed the entire case with the maid. The maid apprised him that the money she had sent to her relatives was from her savings of her monthly salary that she had frugally spent. On the day of trial in the magistrate's court, the public prosecutor cross-examined the maid by asking her various questions related to her work, relatives, and the money she had transferred. He tried to establish the wrong done by her. Next, the defense lawyer cross-examined the rich young lady to determine why she suspected her maid to be the thief. Through the cross-examination process, the defense lawyer was able to prove that the maid was wrongly accused, as there was no firm evidence that money transferred by her was from the sale of the statue. After the court proceedings, the judge gave his judgment. He acquitted the maid of the theft charges and declared her innocent. The judge further reprimanded the police for their shoddy investigation and asked them to further investigate and find the real criminal. From the fictional example above, it is very clear that every citizen of India has a right to fair trial. What do we mean by fair trial? A fair trial implies that no one can be arrested and punished before undergoing a process to establish whether the person is guilty or not. This trial is held in open court and gives the accused an opportunity to defend oneself. If a crime is committed, the first step is to file a FIR, or the First Information Report, with the police. It is with the registration of an FIR that the police can begin their investigations into the crime. The FIR usually mentions the date, time and place of the offence, details the basic facts of the offence, including a description of the events, and even the accused. Role of the police is to investigate, collect evidence, and arrest, detain or interrogate as per the guidelines laid down. If they find the accused guilty, they have to file a charge sheet in the court. A charge sheet is the document required to begin any case in a court. The case is heard in court. Here, the defense lawyer's role is to cross-examine the prosecution witnesses and defend the accused. Role of public prosecutor is to cross-examine the accused to establish their crime. Why is he known as a public prosecutor? This is because a crime committed is not only against the affected victim, but is a crime against society at large. Thus, he also represents the interest of the state. The role of the judge is to see that justice is given, so he hears arguments from both sides, evaluates the evidence presented in court, and based on the above, gives judgment. Thus, the police, the defense lawyer, the public prosecutor, and the judge are four important pillars in the criminal justice system in India. What is required for the police to begin investigating a crime? Select the correct option and click Submit.
Is there any issue, any problem in this particular video? Because we have already discussed this one. Guilty means that somebody who has been accused of crime and proven that yes, this person did that. गुनहगार जिसे हम हिंदी में कहते हैं. Anybody else? Anything? चार्ज शीट बेटा, it is filed by the police and it basically draws up the charges कि इसके कि एक व्यक्ति के अगेंस्ट या फिर एक केस में कितने कितने वो लगे हुए हैं, जो धाराएं लगी रहती हैं और जो भी क्राइम किया गया है उसके बारे में एक जो शीट बनाई जाती है, दैट इज कॉल्ड चार्ज शीट. पब्लिक प्रोसिक्यूटर अभी हम लोग एक वीडियो और देखते हैं. इट विल गिव अस मोर डेप्थ अबाउट दीज थिंग्स, और अगर उसमें भी नहीं आपको समझ में आता देन आई विल मूव अहेड. ठीक है, मैं आपको फिर से समझाऊंगी. और कोई दिक्कत किसी को? Okay, then I'll move to the second video.
According to India's constitution, a person accused of breaking a law is entitled to a fair trial in a court. A trial is said to be fair when it is held in view of public in an open court and when it is carried out in the presence of the accused. To ensure the fairness of a trial, the presence of the following four functionaries is essential: the police, the public prosecutor, the defense advocate, and the judge. Over the following screens, you will learn about the roles of each of these functionaries. When one of our country's laws is found to have been broken, the police must first investigate the incident. The police must file complaint reports, record statements of witnesses, and collect the necessary evidence. If the investigation indicates that the accused person might be guilty of breaking a law, the police can file a charge sheet in the court and take custody of the accused person. When a crime is said to have been committed against a person or group of people, the rest of the society is also considered affected by the crime. The public prosecutor fights a case on behalf of not just the victim of a crime, but also on behalf of the state at large. To prove the guilt of the accused person, the public prosecutor must present the court with material evidence as well as witnesses related to the case. In a fair trial, the accused person is given ample chance to prove his innocence. The defense advocate argues on behalf of the accused person. In order to prove the innocence of the accused, the defense advocate presents the court with necessary evidence. The defense advocate also cross-examines the witnesses presented by the prosecution and analyzes the prosecution's evidence. The judge analyzes the evidence presented by the prosecution and the defense lawyer. The judge then decides whether the accused person is guilty or innocent. The decisions made by the judge must be in accordance with the law. In case the judge finds the accused person guilty of the crime, the judge passes a sentence of punishment that is in accordance with the law. A person accused of a crime cannot be considered guilty until the prosecution, with the help of evidence, can prove the person's guilt beyond doubt. This way, the police, the public prosecutor, the defense lawyer and the judge play an important role in upholding our country's judicial system.
Okay, I hope that made you clear about the role of public prosecutor. But accused means जिसके ऊपर इल्जाम लगा हुआ है, somebody who has been charged by this कि तुमने ये किया. Guilty वो है जब accused का guilt prove हो जाता है, मतलब कि accused ने ये काम किया, ये prove कर दिया जाता है. Yes. Anything? Anyone? Okay, so if there are no, हाँ बेटा बोलो.
मैम वो एक वुमेन क्यों खड़ी थी मैम, वो मूर्ति मैम, वो
दैट इज द
जिसकी आंखों पे
स्टैच्यू
पट्टी बंधी थी,
उसे न्याय की देवी बोला जाता है. एंड दैट इज जस्ट अ सिंबल दैट एवरीथिंग विल बी impartial. आंख पे पट्टी इसलिए बंधी हुई है so that you know the judgment that is given without any bias. Impartial judgment दिया जा रहा है, उसका symbolic nature है. Anything else? Okay, now so if you do not have anything else, just start writing down the extra questions that I am giving from this chapter, because in this chapter there are not many questions in the NCERT, but we will find some questions and just start writing them down. First will be एक आपको flow chart बनाना है. Make a flow chart of how our criminal justice system works.
Ma'am, 1 minute.
Yes. You can also review these questions when the video is uploaded. There is no such problem. In case you miss something, don't worry. So first you have to make a flow chart of how the Indian criminal justice system work. And the second you have to do is write down the role of police in investigating a crime. That will be found on page number 70 and 71. उसमें से आप लोग उसका आंसर को ढूंढ के लिखेंगे. And next,
Ma'am, what is the first question?
बेटा मैं तुम्हें बोलती जा रही हूँ, मैं तुम्हें फिर से बोल रही हूँ कि अगर तुमसे मिस हो जाता है तो YouTube पे जो वीडियो डलेगा आप उसमें भी रिव्यू कर सकते हो. Okay. What is the role of the police in investigating a crime? Next question will be, what is Article 22? मैं पेज वाइज जा रही हूँ, आपको भी पेज वाइज मिल जाएगा. And next will be What is FIR? First Information Report. Next question is, what is the role of public prosecutor? Then, what is the role of the judge? And then, what is a fair trial? एंड देर इज वन क्वेश्चन एट द बैक ऑल्सो. एक टेबल बनी हुई है जिसमें रोल दिए हुए हैं, फंक्शंस दिए हुए हैं. यू हैव टू मैच दीज विद ईच अदर. मैच द फॉलोइंग है ये, उसको आप लोग करेंगे. एंड ऑल दिस वर्ड्स इन द ग्लोसरी आर ऑल्सो टू बी डन इन योर नोटबुक. And we will go back to one another chapter because I was not happy with the way it was covered, and that is understanding laws. We will do that also again. And just try to find these answers. इसमें बहुत बड़े बड़े आपको आंसर्स नहीं लिखने हैं. एट मोस्ट आपको 3 पॉइंट्स निकालने हैं, जो मैंने जितने भी क्वेश्चन दिए कि रोल ऑफ पुलिस क्या है, रोल ऑफ पब्लिक प्रोसिक्यूटर क्या है. पूरी पूरी बुक मत उतार लेना. इट्स जस्ट टू टेस्ट योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग. आप चाहो तो अपने वर्ड्स में भी लिख सकते हो. इनफैक्ट आई विल प्रेफर इफ यू राइट इट इन योर ओन वर्ड्स. Just give me 1 second. I will come back to understanding laws. Am I audible?
Yes,
Somebody.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I got disconnected because of network error, and now I'm back, and I'll restart what I was doing, and we will just review the chapter understanding laws once again. There was an issue of unpopular and controversial laws. So we'll just revisit that particular portion, and if you want to visit other portions as well, you can tell me. But पहले हम लोग unpopular और controversial laws देख लेते हैं.
These are some typical scenes that we see in almost any city of India. What are the advantages and disadvantages of such shops found on pavements? Let us first look at the advantages of these shops. These shops offer goods at reasonable prices to a large segment of society. These shops are also easily accessible due to their location. Now let us look at the disadvantages of the pavement shops. These shops act as a hindrance to people wanting to use the pavement, thus causing inconvenience to the pedestrian traffic. Due to lack of space, people often take to walking on the road and very often cause traffic snarls. Thus, the law passed by the municipal authorities in many cities banning pavement shops and hawking meets the needs of pedestrians, but it does not meet the needs of the pavement shopkeepers as their means of livelihood is put at stake. Such a law that favors one group and does not favor another, though absolutely legal, appears controversial. It can often lead to a conflict. What can people do in such a situation? Sometimes, a law passed by the government may be constitutionally legal and valid and yet prove to be controversial. In a democratic country like India, the citizens have the right to express their views and show the reason for their discontent. For this purpose, they can hold public meetings, write about it in newspapers, hold peaceful rallies and protest marches, inform TV news channels, sometimes even go on hunger strikes. In present times, even take to social media. This helps to gain support and attract attention to pressurize the government to change the laws. If nothing works, then seek redressal through a court of law. Let's see how this works. The aggrieved group of people, in this example, the small shop owners, started the struggle for their rights in the year 1972. When none of the other measures of drawing attention to their plight worked, tired of the regular harassment, a case was filed in the Supreme Court of India in 1982. The Supreme Court accepted street vending as a source of livelihood. It also recognized that the group of people were self-independent and were not a burden to the government, and hence their right needed to be protected. In September of 2010, the Supreme Court directed the concerned ministry to introduce a law to protect the interests of the street hawkers. Finally, in May 2014, the Street Vendors Act was enacted by the Parliament, which protects the interest of street vendors and hawkers. Thus, we can conclude that our role as citizens does not end after choosing our representatives to the Parliament. We must play a proactive role and with the help of media ensure that the government functions efficiently efficiently and in the larger interest of the people. Laws that are controversial in nature can be found in any country. Let's move to the United States of America. Back in 1955, there lived in Montgomery in the state of Alabama a lady by the name of Rosa Parks. She was an African American civil rights activist. She protested against the unpopular segregation law that divided all public spaces, including the streets, between the whites and the colored people. One day, while riding a bus, she refused to offer her seat to a white co-passenger who boarded the bus after her. This marked the start of the civil rights movement in America and finally resulted in the passing of the Civil Rights Act in 1964, which prohibited any form of discrimination based on race, color, religion, or nation of origin. Which of these institutions can people approach to challenge controversial laws?
So coming back at you, I hope that explains better about the unpopular and controversial laws, which I was not able to do while I was teaching that. And if there is any problem, any question regarding both these chapters, you may ask right now, और नहीं तो फिर next class में I'll start covering judiciary, और judiciary को भी मैंने समझा तो पूरा दिया था. We'll just look at class edge for that, for some additional content, and we will be done with that. तो अगर कोई सवाल है, कोई क्वेश्चन है तो प्लीज पूछ लीजिए. एनीबॉडी, एनीवन, एनीथिंग? हिंड्रेंस मींस किसी चीज में अगर कोई रुकावट आ जाती है, रुकावट कहा जाता है उसे हिंदी में. समथिंग दैट ऑब्स्ट्रक्ट्स द वे. एनीथिंग एल्स बेटा? आई थिंक मैंने इसके भी क्वेश्चन आंसर्स आपको दे दिए थे कि कौन से करने हैं. सो वी विल बी डन विद बोथ दीज चैप्टर्स. हंगर स्ट्राइक्स, भूख हड़ताल जिसे हम हिंदी में कहते हैं, एंड हंगर स्ट्राइक्स आर बेसिकली पीपल रिफ्यूज टू ईट अंटिल देयर डिमांड्स आर मेट. They demand certain things from the lawmakers, and until they are granted those things, they refuse to eat. Anything else? Anybody? If there is nothing else, then I'll close this session. Okay, fine. So just start doing this question answer. Khushi, you want to say something?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so that will be all for today's class. Just keep your copies up to dated. Start doing all these extra questions as soon as you can, so that you do not fall behind, क्योंकि हम लोग काफी तेजी से जा रहे हैं. Despite my best efforts to go slower, because you people do not ask any questions, the course is going quite fast. So keep up with the pace. That will be all for today. Thank you and Sai Ram.